What are some why the FK do you know that facts you have? There is a person whose job it is to make fake poop for porn. Poop and porn. With possibly some very niche exceptions in the homemade market. Is fake. There is someone who has to specialize in mastering various colors, consistencies, shapes, etc. Then has to implant. Why? Some people get off to scat, but viral shit is very unhygienic/unhealthy to work with. So they use fake stuff that looks genuine enough to satisfy those with the fetish, while not being unhealthy for the actors and actresses. Exact same reason for fake body parts and fake body fluids in movies/TV shows. Before modern lube for sex there were many other and stranger options. One of them was made by grating yams. It is no longer used as lube and is now served as a soup. Part of the reason that olive oil was so popular in Greece was because it was a very good ancient lube. I jokingly suggested olive oil with a one-night stand, and she got it. It does work very well, but now I feel weird whenever I walk into Olive Garden. It takes about 240 leeches to kill the average human, and about 500 to drain them completely. I'm only at 237, so I'm good, right? Butterflies taste with their back legs, so whenever a butterfly's on a dog's nose they just like the taste. Butterflies have photoreceptors on their genitals, and without them they can't breed or lay eggs in the right place. Imagine if vaginas had eyes. What horrors could they tell us of? Hitler added sugar to his wine. Hitler added sugar to his wine. What kind of monster does that? Oh wait, never mind. Literally Hitler. If there is a really nourished patch of grass in an area that isn't very nourished, there is most likely a dead body there. If you want to not raise suspicion, nourish the surrounding area so that it just looks like a well-kept place. Works especially well if it's in your backyard. So you kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You cover up the body, no one suspects you have the body, and you get a nice yard. Bury the body 10 feet deep. Bury a large animal 5 feet deep. Investigators find the animal remains and stop digging. r/Allegla tips. Always hold a human head with 2 hands. Yes, a head is about the size and weight of a bowling ball, so you'd think it'd be no big deal to hold it with 1 hand. However, due to the weight not being spread evenly, chances are you'll drop it, and no one wants to be the person who dropped somebody's head. I don't think anyone wants to be the person holding a human's head either, but you do you. As long as he puts it back on its place, I don't see a problem. When Mao visited the USSR for the first time, Stalin commissioned a special toilet to harvest his poop. Throw it in the pulag. It takes 21 seconds to empty a full bladder for most mammals, regardless of size. So an elephant will take the same amount of time to pee as a cat. Till I can outpee an elephant. Time-wise, I can outpee an elephant any day of the week. As long as nobody is watching, that is, including the elephant. Otherwise I just stand there like a pervert with my cock in my hand the whole time and nothing happens. There are 10 different classifications of necrophilia ranging in intensity, legality, and destructiveness. Edit. For all the people asking how/why I know this. Back in high school I was messing with a friend by arguing that there are certain circumstances in which necrophilia is morally/legally permissible, and I needed to do a quick bit of preliminary research to support my stance. I'm not actually pro corpse ducking. I was just playing devil's advocate to rile my friend up. It worked. I had to look this up. From Wikipedia, role players, people who get aroused when pretending their partner is dead during sexual activity. Romantic necrophiliacs, bereaved people who remain attached to their dead lover's body. Necrophiliac fantasizers, people who fantasize about necrophilia, but do not physically interact with corpses. Tactile necrophiliacs, people who are aroused by touching or stroking a corpse, without engaging in intercourse. Fetishistic necrophiliacs, people who remove objects, e.g., panties or a tampon, or body parts, e.g., a finger or genitalia, from a corpse for sexual purposes, without engaging in intercourse. Necromutilomaniacs, people who derive pleasure from mutilating a corpse while masturbating, without engaging in intercourse. Opportunistic necrophiliacs, people who normally have no interest in necrophilia, but take the opportunity when it arises. Regular necrophiliacs, people who preferentially have intercourse with the dead. Homicidal necrophiliacs, necrosadists, people who murder someone in order to have sex with the victim. Exclusive necrophiliacs, people who have an exclusive interest in sex with the dead and cannot perform at all for a living partner. Opportunistic necrophiliacs, people who normally have no interest in necrophilia, but take the opportunity when it arises. Holy shit, I'd say I'm dying, but I don't want someone to take advantage of me. During WWII, the American government paid $1 per Japanese soldier head to Filipino soldiers for hire. They ran out of room to store the heads and started accepting said souvenirs as proof. There's a ring of blood vessels in your brain to ensure that if one carotid artery is obstructed, you don't immediately die. Headlocks usually make a person go unconscious or die because both arteries are compressed, so that blood is prevented from reaching the brain. Throttling, though occurring in a similar region of the neck, usually causes respiratory distress or death because the hyoid bone is broken and a person's airway is collapsed, so that they suffocate. Also, there's a few spots on the neck where the body senses blood pressure for regulation purposes. If those spots are upped in the right manner, the body can be tricked into thinking the blood pressure is many times higher than it actually is, and will start compensating by drastically lowering blood pressure. This can cause shock and a whole host of other problems, so only doctors and medical professionals should do this. This is the kind of stuff that made me want to go into the medical field. But now I know this isn't what we do all the time, lol. Your body contains a protein called PRNP, or prion protein, in the nervous system. While the main function of the protein is still not clear, it can misform. These rogue proteins are known as the prion protein SC, or just prion. Prions can transmit their misfolded shape to other, healthy prions. When the proteins misfold, they can cause a chain reaction of protein damage. Eventually, the misfolded prions form amyloids in the brain, the same thing responsible for Alzheimer's and drill holes in the brain tissue. A single rogue prion can do this. In humans, it's known as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease and affects 1 in a million people. However, prions are transmissible from person to person and even between species. To become infected, one needs to come into contact with contaminated brain tissue. But due to old farming methods, cows used to eat the brain tissue of other cows as a protein feed, called meat and bone meal. In the UK, infected cows were turned into meat and bone meal, prompting an outbreak of prion disease, called bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow. Inevitably, some humans became infected too. Prions can remain dormant in the blood for many years before they cause damage to the brain, meaning people from the UK cannot donate blood in many countries. And this brings us to the worst part of prion disease. It is invariably fatal. Nothing can stop prions from killing once something is infected. They cannot be destroyed with sterilizing X-rays, heat or other conventional methods. Prions are the scariest goddamn thing on the planet. I remember the scandal in the 90s, the British beef ban, and learning about prions on Horizon on BBC. There was genuine fear that an epidemic of variant CJD would hit in the years to come. It's not come yet, but there's still time in 2020. No, don't talk about it. Those bugs you see walking on top of water are serial rapists that will grab a female and hold her down and start tapping the water, attracting a fish, killing them both unless the female agrees to mate. Similarly, bedbugs have a penis that is basically like a needle. They mate by stabbing a female bedbug. My why the duck fact is that this is called traumatic insemination. Ancient Pompeii had a large amount of erotic art on display around town until the volcano erupted. It stayed there, covered in ash, until archaeologists dug it up centuries later. Can confirm. Had to do a school presentation on ancient art and chose Pompeii. Awkward when I started on it the night before and had to tell my teacher the next morning why I didn't have a presentation. Spent too much time wanking? The entire state of Wyoming only has 2 escalators. Both are in banks. That escalated rarely. Ancient Pompeii had many restaurants, 200 plus I believe. Some of which were essentially drive-through, and one of which served giraffe. I bet the giraffe had to bend down really low to get to the window. 185 decibels blows an eardrum. 200 up kills a man. I wanna kill myself with the way I store theme. A Slipknot concert maximums out at around 109 decibels. The loudest person in the world, a teacher from Belfast, can shout at 120 dB. Of course it's a teacher. People with FOP, where your muscles and tissue turn to bone, eventually have to decide whether they want to become frozen in a flat/standing or in a sitting position. I work one-on-one with a kid that has FOP. He's mobile enough for now, but needs help here and there and supervision 24/7. I guess I already knew your fact, but seeing it written out like that makes me sad and scared. Couldn't they detach at the joints and insert some sort of mechanical swivel joint? I'm sure this is far-fetched, but I'm totally ignorant to this FOP. I used to know the mathematical formula for hanging someone. Then I brought it up a couple times in conversation with friends. And now I don't know it anymore, because apparently people don't want to know how much force it'll take to snap their neck. I'd love to see you try that out on a first date. How much do you weigh? Excuse me. No, I don't mean it like that. I'm just wondering how difficult it would be to hang you. Patrick Bateman thinks. A group of frogs is called an army. I lost a trivia game because of that question. And am still upset at it. If anyone finds themselves in a trivia game where this dumbass question comes up, and you get it right because of this post, just know I'm proud. Kinda had the opposite happen to me. I read about the Tellerulum design for Nooks from a Red Alert synopsis. A few days later it came out on a quiz bowl. On the final question, with my team and another team tied at first before that, we won. There was a NASA-backed study in the 60s that tried to teach dolphins how to speak. There was one adolescent dolphin named Peter who at times got so horny they weren't able to continue the experiments. So at first feed transfer him to the female tank and feed go at it, but it was so much work so one scientist, a lady named Margaret Howard, was like okay this is too much work just jerk Peter off and get on with the experiments and study. So she gave him hand jobs. She was also dedicated to it so much that she set up a bed in the center and slept there and had her office. The study also involved injecting dolphins with LSD somewhere in there. Then somehow it got out that Lovett was jerking off a dolphin and ended up in a Hustler magazine in an exaggerated dramatized story. Shortly after this, and for obvious reasons the study was discontinued. Peter was then put in an isolated tank, and as dolphins are social animals he got depressed, although some people think it was also partly due to him missing Margaret, and so Peter committed suicide by going to the bottom of his tank and not going up for air. I learned about this after I learned a SNL skit was based on these real events. Edit, here's the skit link. B/ZQ5KWVP528 edit 2. I completely forgot about the drunk history telling of this story, here it is link. B/P7RubotHWUs. Poor Peter. You don't see me drowning myself every time a girl breaks up with me. I give myself hand jobs. You are 10 times less likely to be bit by a shark anywhere in the world than to be bit by a human in New York. Damn New Yorkers are hungry. Male anglerfishes bite females to mate. They basically latch onto the much larger female and their bodies kinda fuse. Male loses some organs, since he solely depends on the female now. He isn't even a separate fish anymore. The male gets nutrients from her, and she gets access to sperm whenever she wants. Guys, we found him, the ultimate simp. And I thought he would have been a Reddit moderator. Frogs use their eyes to swallow. When a frog eats it closes its eyes and pushes them into the top of its mouth to help push food down its esophagus. I think I had to do that once on Redditor. Hexacosia hexaconta hexaphobia is the fear of the number 666. Yes, I know the word by heart and no, it has never been useful in 15 years. I would not want to face you in Scrabble. If you can fit that word on a Scrabble board, you win. One of the longest pieces of literature ever written is a Super Smash Bros. Fanfiction. It's over 500,000 words long. Edit. I have been informed that there are a handful of works that are a bit longer. Ironically, one of those is also a fanfic. According to AO3, the longest work there is 56 meter words. And still going. In Canada, up till about 2004, the minimum age of consent was 14. 14-year-olds could copulate with anyone older than they were, essentially, with no ceiling. Their partners could record video and take photos, as long as it was for personal use only. Edit. Since people like telling me things I already know, and I feel others might like to know, the law, when updated, changed to as follows: 12 can go up to 14, 13 can go up to 15, 14 to 19, 15 to 20, 16 is no ceiling. All of the above requires the older party to not be in a position of trust or authority over the younger party. There is apparently a clause for exploitation, but let's be honest, that should apply to anyone regardless. 18 plus can be with anyone else 18 plus. So you can have a 14-yo that has a 12-yo GF/BF and a 19-yo GF/BF at the same time. But the oldest and youngest can't do anything together, just to be clear. Don't think any of them really should be together, but the law's the law. In Germany, the age of consent in a double minor relationship is 14 and minor adult is 16. If in a relationship, if you're over 21, you're not allowed to exploit someone under 16. Meaning you can't be in a position of power or SDH like that. Other than that, the age of consent in Germany is indeed 14. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.